What's up, YouTube? This is your daily dose of mental health, and in this video we're going to be discussing eating already vaped THC. Before I go any further, if you can like and subscribe to the channel, it'd be vastly appreciated because I want to spread the word in regards to just my experiences with different medications that have affected my mental health, and discuss different mental health conditions and just different types of motivation that get me through the day. And it's just going to kind of be a general spectrum of different types of mental health. I'm also an RN, but before I go any further, before I discuss this, this video is intended for anyone 21 and older, and I'm gonna be honest, as I say in any other video, I am not a medical doctor. However, I am an RN, as I've said, a registered nurse. Anything I talk about in these videos are my experiences or things I have seen or had or opinions that patients have told me in the past about different drugs, or I will give my own experience on different drugs that I have consumed, or herbs I've consumed. But I cannot give in the comments any sort of medical advice on different doses, what's helped me, and dose-wise I can tell you my experience, how it made me feel, but I can't go into doses or anything. And as always, if you're going to try some sort of substance, I know it's awkward, but always discuss it with your doctor. Just in case you are on any medications and you decide to go try something that's over the counter, an herb, you should always discuss any of this before your doctor. And if you don't want to talk to your doctor about it, the minimum you should do is at least research it to see if there's any sort of interactions with whatever you take. Now with that getting started, let's get to the video. And the subscribe button should be in that right-hand corner down there. Alright, so this video is about already vaped marijuana. And the reason why I'm going into this is because I myself have had a lot of questions about it. And what I mean by it is, and before I go any further as well, currently I do still have, from a couple years ago, my PAX, I think it's a PAX 2 vape right here. It's a PAX 2 vape. And what I wanted to go into with it is, it's used obviously to vape medical marijuana in general. And it has different temperatures on it. And the meaning of why I want to discuss this is because I was always curious, after you're done vaping it with your oven, when you open it, you can vape about a half gram. I've always saved the remains from it, the vape marijuana, and I was looking up in the past, what can you do with it? Can you eat it? And I was looking up, people were saying, especially on Reddit, in a lot of in the videos I could find, it was like, oh yeah, you'd have to eat a couple tablespoons of the vaped marijuana in order to feel an effect. Now currently, as I said, I'm not using marijuana or anything, but I do have an experience in the past, actually multiple experiences, instead of making edibles with the already vaped weed, instead just eating it after you vape it. And as I said, I found some videos, people were like, oh, you typically have to take a good amount of it, 1 to 2 grams of it, you could put it in capsules, etc. However, this was about a year ago. I tried that, so I took probably an equivalent to about a half gram to a gram of the vape marijuana. And keep in mind, a year ago, I had been taking edibles and whatnot, and typically an edible dose for me is around a good standard one. I stay pretty low on my edible doses, is about, honestly, 7 to 10 milligrams. If I go above that threshold, that's typically when I get a little bit more anxious. I mean, I've had more, but I prefer, if I want to have a good experience where I can stay functional at least, 7 to 10 milligrams. I don't like going over the 10. And that's in regards to the whole spectrum of sativas and indicas. So when I ran out of edibles one time, I typically like to vape a good amount of my marijuana, just because I don't like the smoking aspect to hurt my lungs, having a minor case of asthma and whatnot. So the first time I took it, after looking it up, I took around probably a half, as I said, a half gram. I just ate it. I didn't even mix it like with Nutella or anything, or as I said, you can make edibles. I just kind of wanted a quick fix with it. And let me tell you, holy shit, from this experience, and the reason why I'm doing this video, once again, not trying to get off topic, it's because I don't want anyone who's ever who has this question in the past when they're looking it up, you can't find much, and there's a lot of noobs on Reddit saying, oh, you got to eat 3 grams of it. Man, let me tell you this, if your weed is above, or, if you don't know, like if you go to the dispensary and you get weed that's above 18% THC in it, like as I remember mine was around 18 to 20% THC, anything above 18, or especially over 20, I ate a half gram the first time, and remember, I'd been taking some steady doses of edibles, typically 7.5 to 10 milligrams, and I'm like, okay, I'll start on the low end, 0.5 grams of eating it. Man, about, the first hour, I don't really feel anything, whatnot, just watching some TV, then I'll never forget I got up, and it doesn't matter if it's a sativa or indica with the already vaped weed, that's the term they use, AVB. I've tried both. 0.5 milligrams, I'll never forget the first time I took an indica, and when I got up, I just felt the biggest rush of blood to my head, and literally the highest I'd ever felt. Like, it was like I was fine, I was stoned, and then I got up for a minute to go just put away a water glass. And I was and I'm not just saying this, I am the highest I had ever been. I mean, it went from like literally 0 to like, a good 4 or 5, like just a good modest stoned. And then, after that hour, I get up real quick, then I sit back down, and it goes from a 5 to a full, the highest being a 10 to a freaking 20. I mean, oh my God, so stoned. And it was, let me tell you, it was the most uncomfortable stone, because I sit down and I'm so stoned, it's like I can't sit down. And then I get up and I'm like kind of hyperventilating and whatnot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, feel real. I'm like, is it, my paranoia sets in. Is it laced? La-di-la-di-la. And oh my gosh, it probably lasted a good, from the peak of when it hit that 10, that went on for about another 3 to 4 hours until I finally just passed out and uncomfortably in bed. Woke up and it was gone. Like the feeling, I was still kind of just like out of it, tired. But I mean, I was a solid stoned off my ass, like 5 to 6 hours with with leading up to it, or I was feeling good. It was probably a total of 8 hours. I know that sounds crazy to say, and maybe that was just me, and I was like, holy crap, that's the highest I've ever been. So my dumb ass, I'm like, you know what, I want to try it again. I do it the next night, because that's, all I had. I don't want to smoke the already vaped weed. Do it again, except this time I take probably 0.2, 0.3 of a sativa. And again, first hour, feeling it, and then it just hits you again. I'm ready to start eating, and it just rocked me. I mean, this is typically edibles for me take about an hour, hour and a half to start kicking in and reach full effect within, it takes 2 to 3 hours on it. I'm happy it didn't take any more, because once again, once it hit 2.5 hours, holy shit, same thing. Out of this world stone, just a very uncomfortable stone. A lot of racing thoughts, plus at the same time, it's like my body, you're like shaking, get like cold hands, cold feet, and it's like moving my arm, I'll never forget, like moving my arm, it was like resisting, it was like the hardest thing to do, it felt like. So my point of this video is be careful with that stuff if you're going to do it, and everyone is different, and I don't care if you take, if you even have experience, or like, oh, if you have experience taking edibles, if you just want to eat some because it's already vaped where you've lost some of the THC particles in it, bullshit. If you take, 5 to 10 milligram edibles every day or whatnot, and then you run out of them and you have to wait 2 to 3 days, and you want something and you've got some vaped weed, be very cautious with it. Because, I mean, on the packs, I vape it, I go like through each cycle 1, then I'll go to 2 the next time, then 3, and I'll vape it up to 4. And it'll say, oh, if you vape it super high, you won't get much of an effect, because mine was pretty dark brown, the vaped weed when I ate it. But every time I did it, if you have decently dank weed that is above, as I said, I want to say anywhere from a threshold, let's just say anything above 18% THC, be very cautious with it. And, the more I read oh, it might take 2 to 3 tablespoons. Like, if you're eating, honestly, I couldn't even imagine eating a gram to a gram and a half of that stuff. I mean, seriously. I don't know what the hell would happen, and I'm not about ready to do it. I feel like I go to hell and back. It at that dose, I honestly feel like it'd be more of a hallucinogenic. So just be very careful. I found a couple of videos on here about somebody talking about it who eats edibles and smokes daily, and they took they had a little bit, like a quarter pill bottle full of it, and they took the whole thing. And he was like, yeah, the high, I woke up, I was high for a good 8 hours and went to bed, woke up, and I was still high for a total of like a freaking day. And once again, I know everyone's different in regards to edibles and whatnot, but just be very careful with it. And the first time you ever do it, as with all edibles, even if it's, you go to the dispensary and buy a 5 milligram edible, 10 milligrams, and you're used to taking 20 milligrams, first time you take a different type of edible, always start at a low dose and give your body minimum, because I even have I've got a fast metabolism. I would not take more, like if you're new, and if you're taking a new edible of any sort, or same with eating vaped weed, start on the low end with 5 milligrams of an edible. And if you're going to do the already vape weed, don't do more than a half gram the first time. And give your body honestly minimum with the already vape weed. It takes even longer than a regular traditional like chocolate edible or whatever to kick in. Give your body minimum of like 3 hours before you do it, because I found another guy who was like, yeah, I didn't feel it. I took it like at 11 at night, and I went to bed. This guy went to bed. He ate a tablespoon, didn't feel it after a couple hours, and just went to sleep. And then he woke up like at 6 in the morning. He was saying, just going to work, just stoned, couldn't go into work. So this stuff takes a little bit longer to kick in than your normal stuff, and I would just caution you to stay on the lower end. If you have no experience with edibles, and let's say you vape weed and and you're wanting to know, oh, what else can I do with it, and it's good weed, I would honestly caution you to just take, just sprinkle just a little bit. And what I mean by that is, like, I know you can't really scale out the vaped weed, but honestly, don't do more than, honestly, like, I'd stay honestly lower than a quarter gram. I would even say, like, and I know this sounds crazy to some people, but like 2 to 3/10 of a gram of it your first time. And even if you have that, if you were like me and you take the normal dose of edibles, and I'm speaking for myself, of like 10 milligrams, for me, what made it pleasant, because then I did find my dose, and the good one, and I was still getting really, really, really baked, just as baked as having a normal edible. And this is the same as having, for me, like a 5 to 10 milligram edible. For me, the equivalent to to eating some of the already vaped weed, for me, it's like, honestly, like 2/10, it's like really like it'd probably be like not even a third of a gram. Like, it just does not take much of it to do the job. That's all I'm saying. So start low, go slow. That's the golden rule with edibles in general. But in my opinion, and everyone might be different, eating already vaped weed has a trickier effect than an edible, to where it is like an edible. An edible, when I take it, it'll start kicking in an hour and a half later, and it'll start going up, and it can hit you like running into a brick wall. But typically, it's pretty. Once you hit the brick wall, you're there for a while. Then eventually it'll start. Your body will adjust to it. With this, it's kind of like you're going up, then you shoot up again, and then you're there. Then you can, and then it'll start kind of playing mind tricks. And don't get me wrong, it gets the job done, but wow, it's insane. Lastly, in regards to it, some things that have helped me, if you ever get, just in general, if you feel like you have had too much THC in general with edibles or the already vaped weed, one thing you can do is just splash some water on your face. It'll help wake you up, kind of take your mind off of it. You can pinch some pepper and just kind of just put it on your tongue, and I know they talk about peppercorns, but you can just get, if you have some pepper in the cabinet, and just put some on your tongue. The spice will help a little bit. Just put it on your tongue. Don't try, I don't know, doing something stupid like snorting it or whatnot. And if you're wanting other methods, lemonade is really good. I like the Simply lemonade stuff. You take a couple of drinks of that. That'll help with it. And lastly, just try to stay calm. I know it's easier said than done, but if you're gonna do these edibles, obviously, like if you're alone, make sure you're in a safe environment. Play some very calming music, and just know if you get really, 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 really up there, to where you feel like you're panicking, you feel like you're gonna, you think you're gonna die, your heart is racing. Just know that's just the marijuana, and that feeling will pass. It will pass. I promise you that. I promise you. That's all I wanted to say. And if for some reason you're feeling that right now, like you're too stoned or whatnot, play this video on repeat. If you need to. Sometimes listening to people's voices can be very calming. But I just want to assure you, you will be safe. You will be all right. Take the precautions with it, and just start low, go slow. And this is your daily dose of mental health. I wanted to change it up a little bit and just go over some other experiences. Currently, I would not touch that stuff because right now, as I said, I'm not smoking or anything or using cannabis. Probably in the future, I'll probably go back to it at some point, and I'll give you my experiences on it and whatnot. And I am an advocate for it. I'm just personally not using it right now. It can help people get off of serious, off some very tough, rough drugs like painkillers. It can really help with. I didn't use it when I was going through my recovery. Cannabis. Just always stay safe with it. And I'm not against it because I don't use it or whatnot. It can be a tool for people, but just be very cautious when you're using edibles. If you have any questions, once again, I can't give really any doses. I can tell you what works for me, but tell me your experiences with what already vaped weed. If you've ever tried it, it's done to you. If some people, if you don't feel it or if it doesn't work, put it in there. But for me, I might be just one of the extremities. If I feel like it hits harder than regular edibles. All right, everyone. Peace, love. We'll do another video. We're gonna hit up. Next video will be probably sometime early next week. I'm gonna do one over. I'm gonna cover in the psych setting, a very common mental health disorder that doesn't get enough attention, and it has a huge stigma behind it, and that is schizophrenia. I might do it over. I might be doing it. I might combine schizophrenia and schizoaffective together, or I might do separate videos because there are a lot of differences. All right, peace and love. I'll see you all later. This is your daily dose of mental health. Have a good day, guys.